All right, I'm really excited. I just got in my brand new Gen 2 Eagle Lights LED headlight today. Before I install it on the Challenger, I want to do a quick comparison between the standard Pathfinder LED headlight that comes on the Challenger and the new Eagle Lights Gen 2 headlight. The way we're going to do that comparison is we're going to use a LUX meter. Now, for those of you who already know what a LUX meter is and the difference between lumens and lux and so forth, feel free to skip ahead. I'll actually do the install and then actually show the comparison. But if you're not, if you don't know the difference, or if you're not familiar with the difference, or if you just want to know more about the difference between lumens and lux and how you measure the overall brightness of the headlight, I'll give you a breakdown. So you'll normally see manufacturers advertise the amount of power within their headlights by using a rating called lumens. For example, the Eagle Lights Gen 2 headlight has, I think it was a little bit over 2,800 lumens based off of their website. I'm not sure what the Pathfinder LED light is. They don't actually list it, or if they do, I haven't found it. If you know what it is, feel free to comment and I'll update the video. But just because you have a high lumen rating, that doesn't mean that it's going to be efficiently spread out in front of you, right? So that's where lux comes into play. So lumen is basically the measurement of the amount of power or the amount of light that's emitted from a lighting source. Okay, so think of a light bulb. You turn the light bulb on, light comes out of the light bulb. Well, the lumens is the amount of light that comes out in all directions all around that light bulb. And that's great if it's sitting in the middle of the room, but if you have it over in the corner, you're not getting the full amount of lumens that's being produced from that light source or emitted from that light source. So that's where lux comes into play. That's what we measure with a lux meter. So lux is the measurement of the amount of light that illuminates a particular area. Okay, so lumens is the overall amount of light. Lux is the amount of light that's being produced and measured within a certain area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this meter, I'm going to put it in front of the headlight at a particular distance and put it right in the beam pattern, and I'll be able to find out how much light is actually being received, is a way to think of it. How much light is actually being received from that light source at that distance within that given area. And that's really what we care about, right? So just because you have a large amount of lumens doesn't mean that that beam pattern is going to focus that light into the best possible area to make it very efficient. Another way to think of this might be horsepower, right? So when we look at the horsepower on something like a Challenger, they usually advertise it as, engine horsepower or crank horsepower, or more specifically flywheel horsepower. But essentially what they're doing is they're saying this engine emits this amount of horsepower. That's great. That doesn't mean you're actually going to feel that amount of horsepower at the rear wheel. So in the case of the Challenger, it's advertised at 120 horsepower. Well, what we're seeing on the dynos is usually anywhere between 10 to 15 horsepower less than that, about 105 to 110 horsepower on the dynos, which is actually really good. Typically, you can assume to lose about maybe 15% of overall horsepower from the engine, or more specifically the flywheel of the engine, to the rear tire. So that means that the drivetrain, the transmission, and the way that the motorcycle is getting the horsepower from the engine to that rear wheel is pretty efficient. Great, that's why I like my motorcycle. But not all motorcycles act that way, just like not all headlights act that way. So if a manufacturer says we produce 3,000 lumens, but you're only seeing a lux rating of about 350 lux, that means that it's not efficiently moving or focusing that light into the right area. So just like an engine produces horsepower, and it's the drivetrain that delivers, either efficiently or inefficiently, delivers that power to the rear wheel, the headlight and the lumens coming from that headlight uses the beam pattern to transfer that amount of light to a given point, hence LUX. So that's what we're going to be testing. Hopefully it's an efficient beam pattern because I actually spent money on this headlight. It wasn't free. So I'm really hoping to get my money's worth out of it. So let's find out. All right, so it's dark outside now. I'm gonna wheel the Challenger out to the driveway and turn the lights off in the garage, and we're gonna see exactly how bright the standard Pathfinder LED headlight is on the Challenger. Indian's website says that whenever you measure or adjust the headlight, you're supposed to back it up. So what is it? 10 meters, which is 32 feet and 10 inches away from the point that you're measuring from. In this case, the wall. So as you can see, I put a piece of blue masking tape over on the wall, and that's going to be the height that I adjust my headlight to. Now, it also says that's supposed to be halfway up the headlight. So right in the middle of the headlight is where you're supposed to measure at. In my case, that's 3 feet. So when I sit on the bike, the center of my headlight is just about 3 feet tall. In North America, we're supposed to drop it down another 4 inches, but I'm not going to do that. It's not going to blind anybody during the process. So I'm going to wheel the bike out 32 feet, 10 inches. We're going to make sure the headlight is adjusted properly with the Pathfinder light, and then I'm going to measure the LUX reading off of it. All right, let's go. All right, so let's see what type of LUX reading we get with the Pathfinder LED headlight. I'm going to turn the LUX meter on. Put it right here in the beam pattern. Let's find the best spot for it. Okay. It looks like our LUX setting is about 134 to 135 lumen. That's not great, but that's on low beam. Let's try it out with the high beam next. All right, so I just turned the high beam on. Let's see what we get now. And then the beam. All right, about 640. That's a lot better. Okay, so the service manual actually says to remove this outer fairing to replace the headlight. I've had this outer fairing off before to install the GPS module. It's not technically that hard, like 8 screws on the inside, but you have to pop off the covers for the speakers and all that stuff. So I'm not going to do that. You can take this ring off. There are 4 screws. It's kind of a pain to get to this top right-hand corner one. The other 3 were pretty simple to get out, but you're going to have to kind of work back in there. I actually had a Phillips head bit with a small little ratchet that I was able to use to get that off. Once that comes off, the headlight just kind of pops out a little bit. There's a what appears to be a zip tie that's underneath here that you'll have to cut. So I'm going to cut off that zip tie and pop this thing out, unplug it, and then put the new one in, and then zip tie it back. Okay, the Eagle Light Gen 2 on low beam is 239 lux. That's well over 100 lux more than the Pathfinder LED. Let me go ahead and put this on high beam. Let's see where we're at. So if we look at the high beam, in the highest area, we're seeing, make sure I don't actually get in the light, we're seeing a little bit over 700, depending on where I put it. We're seeing about 750 to 780 lux. Like I said, that's still a lot more than what we saw with the standard Pathfinder LED. So this light is definitely brighter. Alright, so there you go. We now know that the Eagle Light's Gen 2 headlight is about 100 lux more powerful on both high beam and low beam than the stock Pathfinder LED that comes on our Challengers. I will say that I would be interested to see how how this light performs against something like a JW speaker, especially something like their adaptive 2 headlights. But if you're looking for a headlight that doesn't cost upwards of $600 to $700, this light is a great upgrade for your Challenger. I think I spent about 150, 160 bucks total with an online coupon that I found for the Gen 2 headlight. Install was really easy, and it's definitely an upgrade without a doubt from that standpoint. So yeah, if you're looking for a headlight, definitely check it out. Thank you, have a great day, and God bless.